It happened in the middle of a family dinner, and every pair of eyes was on me. I was sitting at the table, fork halfway to my mouth, when my brother-in-law leaned forward, pointed directly at my chest, and said, loud enough for the entire room to hear, "Your cleavage is showing. That dress is inappropriate for a family gathering." The clink of cutlery stopped. Conversation died mid-sentence, and suddenly, the air in that room felt heavier. My heart pounded in my ears. I wasn't just embarrassed. I was on display, like an object, a spectacle. I looked at him, wondering if I'd misheard. But no, he was waiting for me to react, almost like he wanted me to explode. The truth is, this wasn't the first time. My brother-in-law has commented on my clothes before, more than once, always with that same air of judgment, always in front of others. And every time, I've swallowed it. Not because I agreed with him, but because my in-laws have told me he's struggling, depressed, and that it's best to just let things slide. But that night, I realized something. Letting it slide hadn't stopped him. If anything, it had emboldened him. To understand why this cut so deep, you have to know the history. Before I ever married into this family, my brother-in-law was married to a woman named Nana. She was from Greece, warm, vibrant, full of life. But she didn't last long in his world. His rules for her were suffocating. He dictated what she wore, where she went, who she saw. It wasn't partnership, it was control. And 2 years ago, she walked away. She chose freedom over the life he was trying to force on her. He never got over it. At least, that's what my in-laws say. They paint the picture of a man broken-hearted. But to me, it always looked less like heartbreak and more like wounded pride. When he moved back in with his parents, we started seeing him more often. And with each gathering, I noticed it. The same controlling patterns that drove Nana away. Only this time, they were directed at me. That night was supposed to be about my husband, his 30th birthday, a celebration. The house was full of family, laughter, the smell of home-cooked food. I'd chosen a blue dress with a heart-shaped neckline, my hair pinned up. I felt confident, feminine, and yes, just a little glamorous for the occasion. And then came the moment. His voice cutting through the chatter, slicing straight into me. The accusation of being inappropriate. The way his eyes landed on my body, as if cataloging a crime. For a second, I could feel my husband beside me. Still, silent. The weight of everyone's gaze pressing in. I could have let it go. Again. Pretended it didn't bother me. But something inside me shifted. I wasn't going to sit there, shrinking into my seat, while a man who couldn't keep his own marriage together tried to shame me for existing in my own skin. So I smiled, calm, too calm, and I said, "Knock, knock." He frowned. "Who's there?" "Nana." The confusion on his face was almost comical. "Nana who?" I leaned forward just enough for him to hear every word, but loud enough that the table caught it. "Nana, your goddamn business what I'm wearing." The reaction was instant. My sisters-in-law burst into laughter. He froze, then forced a laugh of his own, but his eyes gave him away. He pushed his chair back, stood, and left the table. The silence that followed was short-lived. My husband's parents were not amused. His mother told me I'd gone too far, that I'd been petty, that bringing up Nana was cruel, given how heartbroken he still was. My husband agreed. He told me I'd been deliberately hurtful, that I could have made my point without dragging his ex-wife into it. But here's the thing. I didn't bring Nana up out of spite. I brought her up because she is the living proof of what happens when this behavior goes unchecked. She left because of the same controlling, shaming comments he now directs at me. And if I'm being honest, that knock-knock joke, that was me showing restraint. Because what I wanted to say would have burned hotter. I spent the rest of the night moving through that house like a ghost, the celebration still going on around me. My sisters-in-law gave me looks of solidarity, but my husband kept his distance, his jaw tight. His parents avoided me unless it was to send another wave of silent disapproval my way. The thing that stung most wasn't even my brother-in-law's comment. It was my husband's silence. The way he sat there while his brother called me out and then scolded me for standing up for myself. It was the confirmation that in this family, my dignity was negotiable, but his brother's ego was sacred. And so here I am, replaying that moment in my head. The way the room froze, the way the tension crackled like static before a storm. I think about Nana, somewhere out there, living her life without this weight on her shoulders. I think about what it means to speak up, even when you're told it's not kind. Because kindness isn't letting someone demean you in public. Kindness isn't shrinking to protect the feelings of the person hurting you. And I can't help wondering, if I hadn't said anything, how many more times would he have tried to shame me before someone else decided it was too far? So, am I the asshole? This story is about more than a dinner table argument. It's about power. It's about the ways some people hide their control under the disguise of concern or family values. And it's about the quiet moments when those around them choose to look away, because confronting it would mean admitting the problem has been there all along. The brother-in-law in this story didn't just lose a marriage. He lost the right to dictate someone else's self-expression, but he hasn't accepted that. And instead of helping him face it, his family cushioned the blow with sympathy, and in doing so, let the behavior live on. And then there's the husband's silence. Silence can be louder than any insult. It tells you exactly where you stand in someone's priorities. It tells you whether they'll protect you or preserve the comfort of the person hurting you. When you strip this story down to its core, it's about boundaries. Boundaries are not about being cruel. They're about self-respect. And self-respect doesn't wait for permission. Maybe that knock-knock joke was petty. Maybe it was sharp. But sometimes, the truth only gets through when it's delivered with enough edge to cut the armor. And sometimes, that's what it takes to finally make someone think twice before crossing the line again. So I'll leave you with this. In your own life, when someone tries to shame you into silence, will you laugh it off to keep the peace? Or will you find your own way to say firmly and without apology, Nana, your business? What would you have done?